forgot my music. Hello, everybody. Bob Lusk, the Pond Boss, checking in live from Lusk Lodge, 2 at the beginning of the Institute of Higher Pondology. And what you can't see are all these folks surrounding us getting ready to throw rocks. So we better do this right. Hey, I thought we'd have a few guests tonight. Of course, everybody that watches this show, you guys know what to do. Click like, hashtag Pond Boss Magazine in the comments section, and share this to your timeline, and you're going to be eligible for a drawing for a Pond Boss hat and a Pond Boss mug that knows how to, where are you, Jacob?
Keeps hot things hot and cold things cold.
Oh my gosh, Jacob's in the house. Look at that. Holy cow, we're going to have a lot of fun. First up to bat, I thought we'd interview some folks and just find out about who's here at the Institute of Higher Pondology. So we've got John Redd from St. Louis, Missouri, Outdoor Water Solutions. So, John, welcome to LL, 2.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Tell us all about Outdoor Water Solutions and what's going on, what's new and what's old. What's going on?
Well, Outdoor Water Solutions is a company that my wife and I started about 15 years ago. And we started with aeration. Basically, we started with the old wind-driven systems, and we figured out a way to make it a lot better. So we have a much larger compressor, much beefier design. And we found that there's a lot of farm ponds and in rural areas that just can't get access to electricity, or it's not affordable.
So if you want to aerate a pond and you don't have electricity and it blows in your part of the planet, wind-driven aeration can be good. Now, what are some of the upsides and downsides to wind-driven aeration? And then we'll segue from that into the solar products that you guys have helped develop.
So upsides are, if you've got a pond, you know, they're going to benefit from aeration. So usually you're starting to see algae. Your pond is starting to build up organic matter in the bottom. It's starting to age. Eutrophication is a normal course of a pond as it ages. So anytime we can get air into that, no matter how much air, you know, we basically are starting to change it from anaerobic to aerobic. And that starts to make a big difference in the water quality. It can also help keep your fish alive in the winter, so they don't freeze up, and also in the summer to the pond turnover. So there's a lot of benefits to that. The caveat is you need wind. We figure if you can get 6 to 8 hours on average a day of a decent wind, then you know we can do a good job of aerating. Now, downside is if you've got a pond that it's a commercial fishery or heavily stocked with trophy fish, then you know you probably want to go electric. And the reason I say that is you probably want 24/7 aeration. Now, you know, out of the 100 ponds that we sell, maybe 3 or 4 of those are in that category. 96% of the ponds we sell are rural ponds, farm ponds, recreational ponds, golf course ponds. I mean, they're ponds that still have fish and people enjoy them for recreation, but they're not heavily stocked trophy type management ponds.
Cool. I love that. So if somebody's got wind that blows some of the time, they can use wind-driven aeration.
Correct.
But if the wind's not blowing and the sun's shining.
So yeah, we've got a line of solar aeration systems and also solar fountains. Basically, the solar aeration systems can do the same thing as the wind, in that we can aerate in areas where you maybe don't have access to electricity, or it's cost prohibitive to get electricity to the pond. So we actually sell both a shallow water system for up to 12 feet, and then we have a deep water system for, you know, ponds up to 35, 40 foot deep. I mean, so we can do everything you can with electric, but now we're doing it with solar.
So you can aerate water that's 40 feet deep.
Yeah.
I know of a lake you do that.
We can.
Over there at John Vick's place.
Yeah, with the
Right.
solar.
Okay. Because he's got a big gravel pit, sort of a pond, that is growing some pretty big fish. And I know if he didn't have the aeration going on there with that water, because when you've got water so deep, I mean, some of the risks you run is having that warm layer in the summer too shallow,
Right.
and you run the risk of a turnover that can kill some fish.
Yeah, because you've got 2/3 of your water doesn't have oxygen. So when it mixes together, you end up with a very low oxygen condition real quick.
So you've got the resources with Outdoor Water Solutions to use the wind, to use solar if you want. Now, solar's pretty inexpensive. Nah. You know, but I tell you, go ahead.
It's more expensive than electric, but we're creating power. So you have to have solar panels and controllers, but I mean it's still affordable. What we sell is a direct drive system, so we don't have batteries and battery backups and a lot of other things that add to your expense. So You know, our solar system started about 3,000 and go up to about 7 or 8,000. And
How much are your fish worth?
right, you stock your pond once or twice, or you build your pond. What's it cost to build a pond, and what's it cost to stock your fish? I mean,
Exactly.
It's a cheap insurance plan.
And then here you go, you're 5 years down the road and you have a fish kill, so you lost 5 years worth of growth.
Right, you got to start over.
Hey, guess who first one up was to turn on the show today? Jason Nepstad from Fayetteville, North Cackalack. There's Jacob West. He's watching it. Holy cow, he's here. How'd you do that? There's Matt Rail. Hey, we were just talking about Matt Rail a while ago. Folks, we've got folks here from Montana Ponds. Guess where they're from? Yep, there you go. You're catching on. Montana. We've got the Novotnys from Illinois. We've got the West from Texas. We've got guests from Oklahoma. Let's see, Illinois, Missouri. Let's see, North Carolina. So we got folks from around the nation that we're going to spend a lot of time in the next few days social distancing and learning a whole lot about ponds and fish and plants and water. And we're going to do some field trips, some electrofishing. There's John Wilson saying hello to both of us.
Hi, John. Hi, John.
Yeah, John's probably playing hockey tonight since there's no baseball games to watch. He's pretty good. Look at that. Matt Rail says, oh my, look at that. John Red, he even spelled your name right. I love that. Let's see here. Who else we got checking in? Chuck Brinkman's checking in from outside St. Louis, Missouri. He grows some giant fish, but even better, he's growing some great kids because his girls love to go fishing. You know, and anybody that watches this show knows that. And if you don't believe me, give your cell phone number to Chuck, and he'll send you some great pictures. There's Bob Mayer, Mike Cottrell checking in from Texas. Danny Mack, he was here. Danny Mack, man, we're celebrating without you. You were here last year. There's, let's see, Rudy Billings, Mark Primo, Robbie Old, you guys rock. We're rocking, dude. Here we go. Look at that. Matt Rail, hey, you just got an endorsement from Matt Rail right there. That solar system is really great. I can tell you I tested it every day. Jake Hughes, Ben Arnold, can you speak more on prawns and how they do in northern Mississippi? Yeah, you know what? And there's Dave Weber. He's in Kansas. He shut the tractor off early tonight, came in off of his food plots. He didn't want to miss this. Dry and windy in northeast Kansas today. Yeah, I'll talk to you about prawns. And we're going to participate some of this. And we may go live a few times over the next few days, so stay tuned for that because there's going to be some cool stuff happen. But there's a guy that raises prawns outside of Fort Worth, Texas. He raises them up to post-larval size, which is about half an inch, up to maybe 3/4 of an inch. They're not that expensive. They're like 8 to 12 cents a piece. So I bought several thousand of them. Oh, Lord, didn't want to tell Debbie that. But we stocked them into a couple of ponds right here. We stocked them in a 10th acre pond here, and I put about 4,000 or so in there. If she finds this out, she's going to want a couch or something. So, oh, good. Keep her busy. So anyway, we decided to harvest some of those, and in that pond, I had bluegills. So I was kind of skeptical about putting all these little bitty prawns into this 10th acre pond that I knew had bluegills in it. Now, what I'd forgotten about is we had some tilapia in there as well. Well, I remember after I thought about it, I put like 6 tilapia in there. And when we seined it, we caught like 600 tilapia, several thousand bluegill, and about 25 pounds of prawns. Now, how do I think they do in northern Mississippi? They do great. Now, here's the thing. They're tropical. So when the water temperature drops down into the low 60s or upper 50s, they're going to die. So we put them in ponds that we can harvest them from. As a matter of fact, those are in the refrigerator. We're going to eat them Friday night or maybe tomorrow night. They're whole, so y'all get to pick some heads, and we'll have to get the Cajun guy that ain't here yet. Oh, where's Ron Ardwayne? He's supposed to be here by now. Anyway, we're going to eat some of those, and I tell you, there's some things I'm seeing. I'm kind of throwing this out there. I wanted to save this for the Institute, but I am firmly convinced that these 2 ponds that we have prawns in ate algae. There's Ron. He's watching. Ron's driving and he's watching. Pull over, dog. He's watching the show and he's driving up here from Lake Charles, Louisiana. He's been through 2 dadgum hurricanes, and now he's driving, watching the show, and he's making comments. What's wrong with that guy? We love Ron Ardwang. Get your butt over here, buddy.
Maybe he pulled over.
I think he did pull over. I know him. He pulled over. His wife would be on him if he didn't. David Kent checking in from St. Genevieve. Who knows David Kent? Somebody's got to know David Kent. All right. Tim Stewart checking in. I see him. Oh, he's waving back there. He's in the balcony. Robbie Old, Dan Durallop, Good to see you. Harrison Davis checking in from Georgia. Danny Tolliver from right around the corner in Bells on the other side of you guys in Denison. There's Josie. Josie hopes to be here next year. Lancaster's going to retire. Woo, good news. That's great. I've heard that's a good gig if you can get it. Travis Small-Smith, he's our, I want to say thank you to Purina Mills for sponsoring this show, and I think Travis is probably one of the biggest Purina Mills fans we have out there. Good to see him. Chris Higgins, you had a video of some freshwater shrimp. Where did you get those and how much? I live in Oklahoma. They cost anywhere from 8 cents to 10 cents, depending. I got them from a guy in Weatherford, Texas. If you will, just email me at info@pondboss.com. I'll get you information on those shrimp. And when we get ready to cook, so we're going to harvest some. These guys don't know it. I'm breaking the news to them, but we're going to harvest some more of those on Friday afternoon and see how many more, because we pulled the seine through that 1/10 acre pond just one time, and I know we didn't get all of them.
Can I bring some to Florida?
Yeah, you can bring some to Florida. You bet. Yep. Okay, so let's see here. Mike McPherson, Katie Rose Hernandez, Ron Arduin's listening. There you go. I got it. He's got it on the radio. All right. Great to see some pretty intelligent pond experts. Brittany Tossig. Who's that?
My daughter.
Oh, there we go. Here's the pond expert. Well, you know what, John? Tell folks how they can find you.
Well, you can find us online, and you can find us through a lot of dealers sell our products. They're what we call our elite dealers. So we work with probably over 200 different dealers across the United States. So if you just ask for any of our products, we've got a full set of dealers out there that can sell and service them.
So what's your website?
OutdoorWaterSolutions.com.
Oh, that makes pretty good sense. How'd you get into this?
Well, that's a good story. Basically, I spent my life growing up on a farm, hunting and fishing, and got a degree in agriculture, and spent 20 years with a big chemical company, and decided I wanted to do something on my own. And my wife encouraged me to leave the company and start something fresh, so we started Outdoor Water Solutions 15 years ago, and it's been a blessing ever since.
Very cool. Nick Foster, your biologist, just put the link up.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. If anybody wants to go to Outdoor Water Solutions. So you're a farm boy,
I am.
and you figured out a better mousetrap to aerate ponds that don't have electricity.
And we sell electric systems as well. So
Yeah.
we've got single compressor, double compressor. A lot of our dealers sell our systems. So we do a lot of different things, and aeration is just a key part of it.
Do you feel like kind of a pioneer in the wind-driven aeration business, kind of?
Both in the wind and the solar. I mean, we're trying to make things better. And, I know Matt's on there. Matt did some great testing for us last year with one of our deep water systems, and came up with, it was a scientific study, and he worked to measure a lot of things throughout the course of the summer. But I think in a synopsis, he found that, those systems, even though they're a direct drive system, can still work very efficiently and very well on ponds.
Is there an article in Pond Boss coming up?
I'm sure Matt would be more than willing to work with you on that. Yeah. Matt's an excellent resource.
Hey, there's Leanne. She's saying hi, y'all. Leanne is my executive assistant, marketing director, advertising director for Pond Boss. She's the one that puts a lot of this stuff together. So glad to see her on there. Niven Hay. Who's Niven Hay? Huh? Uh-oh. Nevin? Niven. Who's Niven Hay?
That's my boy.
Niven Hay. Checking in from Pennsylvania. His daddy's right over here to my left. All right. So here we go. Harrison Davis says, in honor of the Pond Boss and family, I'm having cold largemouth bass for supper. How are you cooking them? Sweet. Well, John, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah,
I think we're going to have a great few days. What are you looking to take home with you from this event?
Well, I'm no expert on ponds, but I enjoy learning a lot about them. And, I think it's just a great opportunity to learn a lot more about how to manage a pond effectively and to grow nice trophy fish and keep things under control.
Excellent. Very good. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Look forward to the
problem.
next few days. Josie said, no, she's the glue that holds you together. That and my wife, I feel kind of sticky now.
All right. Well, thanks, Bob.
Hey, man, you bet. Hey, who's next up to bat? Come here, Jacob. Let's get Jacob West up here. Greg, we'll get you up here. I want you to come up here at the end.
Okay.
Because we're going to handle it.
If you run out of time, that's fine.
Oh, no. We're going to make time for you. Where are you, Jacob? I don't see you.
Right here.
Oh, there you are. Oh,
It's
gosh.
a delay on that.
There you go. I'm looking at the wrong screen.
I'm going to sit back. I think it loses 10 pounds, doesn't it?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Jacob West. Jacob, I don't know what possesses you to watch all these shows, but I'm thankful that you do. I think you hit it right. You said my whole fan club's here.
Pretty much.
All two of you. Woo, boy, that's weird. Okay, so I'm so glad you're here. This is your second institute.
Yes, sir.
Why'd you come back?
Well, to be honest, you said Jimmy Houston's pond, so here I am. Got to meet the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, we're going to go hang out with him tomorrow for an hour, and or maybe longer. He likes to share what he's done, and he's done some pretty fabulous things. So we're going to get to spend some time with Jimmy, and he can give you some tips from the angling side.
Right.
And I tell you what, he's pretty dadgum sharp about the fish side too. You know, and he's been around a long time. It ain't his first fish rodeo, so it's gonna be fun. So so we got Jimmy Houston, but you guys, you and your dad, Bobby, who's around here somewhere,
He's talking to
he's
Debbie.
over there keeping Debbie occupied. I love that. So you guys built your own lake,
Yes, sir.
and it took
7
7
long,
years.
but very fun years.
Yes, and it took 7 years because you did it all yourselves, but you also, I mean, you guys are in the car wash business. What's the name of your company?
Twin Distributing.
Twin Distributing.
Got it right this time.
Hey, yeah, Twin Distributing. So if anybody wants to build a car wash, has a car wash, you want a better car wash, here's who you talk to right here, Jacob. But you know what? They would use their crews in order to help keep them busy when they weren't busy building a car wash. They'd go to the ranch, which has been in the family for how long?
Since the late 1800s.
Since the late 1800s. Mm-hmm. How old are you?
36.
So you guys decided to build, and one of the funniest things to me is talking to you and your dad. Every time we'd get together, Bobby would look at me and he'd say, well, you just cost us another 6 months getting this lake built with all these things we've been talking about we're going to do, all these merry-go-rounds and bells and whistles and roller coasters you're going to put in there for your fish. Well, you've got it built. How close is it to being full?
We're about 6.5 feet from being full right now.
Which means you've got how much water in it?
The deepest part of the pond right now is around 24 feet.
24 feet deep, and it covers, when it's full, it's around 13 or 14 acres.
Right.
So what does it cover now?
Right now, my best guess is maybe 8
Okay.
to 10, somewhere in that
8
range.
to 10 acres, and they got their forage fish in there, and they're rocking and rolling with their fish. And when you hit the feeder, you got how many Texas Hunter feeders?
We have 3.
3 Texas Hunter feeders, which is about right for 7 or 8 acres of water where you really want to grow some big fish. And you stocked it with little bitty fingerlings, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you had a few medium-sized ones, as I recall. And you stocked fathead minnows, copper-nosed bluegill, some native bluegills, and some red ear sunfish.
Yes, sir.
And now the biggest ones were probably 2.5 inches long, and now how big are they?
The ones that are coming to the feeder often are about 6 inches right now.
And we stocked those fish in May? Is that right? Or
think so.
before? Was it
Might
during?
have been April. I think it was April.
Okay, so April, May, June, July, August, September. That's 6 or 7 months. They've gone from 2.5 inches, 3 inches, up to 6 inches. That's pretty good growth. You're going to have some beasts.
They're thicker than the Snickers, too.
Thicker than a Snickers. I like that. That's like the University of Texas football. Their kicker, Dicker the kicker. That's pretty good. It's thicker than a Snickers. That's good. All right. Let's see here. Oh gosh, we got some conversations going in there. Harrison Davis said to tell you hello.
Hello.
He watches this show every dadgum week, and I don't know why. But
It's a
I'm glad.
community.
It
It's
is.
a
You know, it
community.
kind of has turned into a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't know each other that well. But we're getting to. So, Jacob, besides meeting Jimmy Houston, and, you know, you went through the first institute, but this time, one of the things you told me is you're looking forward to meeting the crowd and meeting everybody and exchanging ideas and thoughts and experiences with those guys. So
Right.
when you head out of here at the end of the day, Saturday or Sunday, what are you looking to take with you?
Any extra knowledge we can get. The main thing is knowledge, camaraderie, new things we haven't thought of yet that we might pick up along the way. And there's a lot of people here that are in the fisheries that know a lot about their little niche in the industry. And so any extra knowledge we can get that is specific to that niche or that industry, it's just more knowledge and more things that we can learn. And we love this world of fisheries.
You bet.
So we love it.
I get it, man. Our friends from Montana Ponds, they build ponds and lakes. So we've got Earth Mover. And then Terry, his bride, is in the pond maintenance business. And she's really, really interested to learn more about the fine art of water chemistry, water management, how biology and chemistry all kind of come together to create that environment and that medium in which things live, you know. And just, I bet listening to her, we're all going to get a lot of stuff out of that. Then we got the Hayes coming. They build lakes and ponds in Pennsylvania, you know. So and even though, you know, these folks do the same thing, building lakes and ponds, Montana is not Pennsylvania.
Correct.
So we're going to get to hear a little bit about that. And then we've got, you know, John and Tanya Red with Outdoor Water Solutions. And we've got folks from Norman, Oklahoma, Charla Runkle and her friend Lonnie, I am so sorry. Lonnie, he threw a plum at me. You missed. Might have been a tomato. But Charla's got a pond or a lake. Actually, he's got a lake. So I think her mission is to learn as much about the biology of that lake, and Lonnie helps her with it. So they're going to kind of double team this knowledge thing and see what they can get. We've got Nick Foster, who's a biologist. We got Tim Stewart, the beekeeper, who wants to, you know, ramp up his knowledge. So we've got folks that are consumers as well as producers in the pond management business, and people that just want to learn a whole lot more about all those different phases. So what you're looking forward to is not only hearing the program, but hanging out with everybody.
Absolutely.
And getting something out of that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, man, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. All right, let's see. Who's next up to bat? Come here, Tim. Come here, Tim Stewart. We're going to talk about bees.
Oh, not bees.
Okay, let's talk about ponds. Now, you guys that watch this show all the time, you see Tim Stewart pop in from time to time, and he might be hauling bees one day. He might be...
I'm trying to gain 10 pounds.
Yeah, there you go. Lean forward and you'll gain 20.
There we go.
There you go. There you go. Oh, you lean back. There we go.
That's the spot.
You got to find the sweet spot.
Yeah. I was sitting in a car all day, so.
Oh, I hear a feeder going off. Yep. There's going to be some fish feeding there in a minute. I turned the camera, but then I couldn't get it back, and we probably wouldn't see it. There they go. There's the bluegill feeding. There's some big old koi over there. You just have to do a play-by-play. This is a radio now. Well, Tim came to the Institute last year as well, and he's got a pond in Okeechobee. Now, Tim's pretty fascinating to me. He's from New Jersey, has a place in Okeechobee, and he hauls bees around. He takes bees to California in the spring to pollinate the almond groves, and then what didn't get killed by pesticides, he hauls those to New England for, I guess, blueberry and cranberry bogs and things like that to pollinate those plants. So if it wasn't for him, we couldn't eat.
Yeah.
You got to have bees, you know. And so, and Tim's got a pretty small pond. I'd say small pond. It'd be bigger if it didn't have an island in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You know,
but the island's cool. You can't get rid of the island.
But he's got some fish that nobody else has. I mean, like he showed me. Hey, you know, this guy, he's pretty amazing. He showed me a picture of two apple snails stuck together like glue. What's that about?
Are there anyone watching less than 18?
No, they're all 18.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a lot of these pink egg sacs everywhere. They're already starting.
And they do that. They
show
don't.
up.
They do that out of the water, right?
They lay the eggs out of the water, but you see two snails hooked together in the water all around the bank right now.
Okay, and so they're making baby snails.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he
eggs.
just changed the name of his pond to what?
What do we?
Love Shack.
Love Shack.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So, Tim, in your travels, I mean, you're not that old. What are you, 26, 25?
I'll be 26 on Monday.
26 Monday. Woo, birthday boy. We'll have to make a cake. But you roam all over the nation.
Everyone.
And around the country. What is it about I mean, you're completely fascinated with this pond. You've got armored catfish. You've got plecostomus.
Yeah.
Walking catfish.
Yeah.
Apple snails.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a tropical fish farm.
I got a fish that he didn't even know what it was.
Hey,
Ron Ardoin like helped me figure out what kind of fish it was. I don't remember what it was, but and I saw a gar in there about 2 weeks ago. So I thought I pumped the pond down after last time I was here. I went home. You convinced me that there were walking catfish in there. So all I knew that was in there were walking catfish, bluegill, largemouth bass, and warmouth.
okay, so what'd you do about it?
So I pumped the pond down.
Yep.
And I also had armor-plated catfish, Plecostomus, these little aquarium fish about this long that are like dwarf African cichlids, I think is what Ron figured out they were.
I would think those would be there.
Yeah, and yeah, if it's got a name like that, they're in there. And a bunch of like brown goldfish about this long.
Oh, okay.
And
We call those carp over
3-pound tilapia.
3 pound tilapia. Did you eat that fish?
Actually, the 1-pound bass that were in there had more meat on them than the 3-pound tilapia.
Really?
And there were no small tilapia, only big ones. So
Well, that's kind of weird because
There's
those
a lot
things
of things-
reproduce like
there's a lot of things
maybe
we
not
don't
like
know.
snails. Yeah. So you've kind of got a mystery pond going on. So you pumped it down,
Yep.
and then your walking catfish did what?
They don't die when you pump the water down. They just go down into the mud.
Yep.
And then they just come up and take a little breath, and then they go back down into the mud. So I tried several different ways of getting rid of them, and as far as from my reading, rotenone wouldn't work. So I
Yeah.
tried other methods, and I even tried freezing them because their body temperature, if it goes below 49 degrees, they die.
So you threw a bunch of ice on them.
I threw ice on them and salted it.
Ice
And-
and salt, like an ice cream
And I
maker.
had an infrared thermometer, and the top of the water was below 30 degrees. But so in Florida, when the water table is high, if you dig a 2-foot deep hole, you have a half-foot deep pond. It's all groundwater.
Wow.
So this pond right here is filled up by rain and by a well.
Yes.
Whereas my pond is just the groundwater. level.
Groundwater,
If I
yep.
dig a hole, it fills up with water.
Okay.
And so the water was coming up from the bottom, and the fish didn't die.
So what you're saying is that it's going to be kind of hard to manage the fishery there because you have fish that can walk in and walk out.
Yep. So what I'm trying to do is improve the conditions for the fish that I want and make them worse for the fish that I don't want.
Now that is pond management right there. And of course you got all kinds of adversity
Yeah.
because you got these fish that won't die. You can't freeze them out, you can't rotenone them out, and you can't pump them out. So you got to figure out how to live with them by overwhelming that habitat with something that can outcompete them. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Basically.
So I installed a circulator. I put a bunch of lime in, and trying to get the water quality as best as possible. Now I don't know if you can see the colors here. Oh yeah, you can see
Yeah.
it.
Look at that.
This is my pond. This is Bob's pond.
No, this is my pond on steroids because I
No.
bought this bottle of water.
No, I dumped it out. I drank that water, and
Oh,
I
you
went
did?
down and filled it up.
Oh, this is my pond
That's
water.
your pond water. This is my pond water.
Look at that. So yours has a color to it.
Yeah.
So, here we go.
And I can't get a bloom on, or I haven't been able to get a bloom going. So
Yep.
we're working on that.
Yep. By the way, Leanne's birthday's Monday too.
Oh,
Y'all got to sing happy birthday to each other. Here's Steve Alexander with Private Waters Fishing. Keep up the good work. Hey, thanks for keeping up the good work. Harrison Davis, have you tried toothpaste to fish them out? No, that works on YouTube.
you know what? What that toothpaste did is kind of what I did, because I think that is baking soda, right?
Okay.
And that'll raise the pH, right?
Colgate. Yeah, okay.
So I poured 450 pounds of hydrated lime in this pond.
So he squirted a giant tube of toothpaste into his pond.
Yes, a quarter ton of toothpaste.
Wow, crazy.
Of super strong toothpaste that'll dissolve your teeth.
Yeah, so the answer, Harrison, is yes. He's tried toothpaste in the raw form.
But honestly, I may have killed the fish,
Yeah.
and they may have come back in, because I found a spot where the ditch system in the neighborhood, there's a lower area, and what happens is when the water level comes up, all these fish with wheels automatically go looking for a new home.
And you made him a brand new home that's very inviting and welcoming, well, except for the toothpaste.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Look at that. There's Fred Bingaman checking in. He's eating some bluegill right here. I bet they're not coals like Harrison is doing. Steve Alexander says, weigh the pros and cons of harvest versus removing the inherited trait of removing the most vulnerable, easiest to catch bass. You want to tackle that, or you want me to? So in other words, if you go fishing to cull your bass, what are the odds that you're going to take out the most aggressive fish?
The odds are that the fish that are going to bite the lure most likely are the ones that you most likely catch.
Bingo.
So it's going to have an effect.
That's right. So the advice I give folks, Steve, that's a great question. So Josie's asking if she can buy that from Amazon. I guess she wants that toothpaste.
Oh, this water? No, it's not for sale on Amazon.
So Steve, here's what I tell folks about culling fish. You know, you got to look at your pond as a garden. At some point, you're going to produce a bounty. You're going to dig it, stock it, feed it, nurture it in whatever ways you want to. At some point, you're going to have a bounty, and that bounty needs to be harvested. So the question Steve is asking is it appropriate to harvest all your culling, harvest all the fish you need to take out by hook and line? Well, what I'm going to tell you is it could be with this caveat. If you catch a fish that's exceptionally big and aggressive, even if it's a little thin, and you think it's really, aggression is inherited. That's an inherited trait. So if you just wholesale remove fish that will bite the hook, you're going to decrease your catch rate by increasing the fish numbers that don't bite aggressively. So yes, you can cull some, but I'm going to tell you this, it's also a smart way to cull it with electrofishing. I think that's pretty smart to go in there, and you can randomly cull some by electrofishing. And so the bottom line is you need to cull some fish, but you need to be selective about it. If you catch a fish that Ray Scott says looks like an Alabama deputy sheriff, throw it back. You know, Ray Scott said that. I didn't say that. So, but do be aware that if you're having a great day fishing and you want to cull all those fish, you may be taking the most aggressive fish out.
Hey, just catch all your fish, throw them in a live well, and throw the best ones back at the end of the day.
That's a good way to do it. But if you catch one you know is chunky,
throw it back.
don't even leave it in the live well. Danny Mack says if that bass is below relative weight, he's just starving and hungry. That very well could be. And it could be that it's old, too. So let's see. Let me see what else we got. All right, so why did you come to this one?
Well, I was thinking about coming again, and I called Bob and said, "Hey, are you full for the blip, the Bob Lusk Institute of Higher Pondology, the blip? That's how you pronounce it, right?"
Okay.
And he said, "No, we're not full." And I'm like, "Well, what are you doing different this year?" He said, "Well, we're going to Jimmy Houston's." I'm like, "Okay, I'm coming."
Jimmy, I can't thank you enough.
But honestly. So my pond right now is half an acre with an island in the middle, and what I want to do is dig out another 3/4 acres or more on one side of the island. And so what I really want to see is this Mike Otto's pond that he's digging.
Okay.
And I saw some cool pictures from the West Pond. They had some good ideas, and Bob just told me a cool idea about how to maybe keep my water a little warmer so I can keep peacock bass alive in the wintertime.
He's the only guy we know sitting here right now that might be able to keep peacock bass alive.
I have a friend who has them in Jupiter, and that's about an hour and a half from me.
That's about 3 rocks from us, isn't it?
Well,
Jupiter? Oh, yeah. Jupiter, Florida.
Jupiter, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking, see, you know some people I don't know. All right, let's see here. Wyatt, checking in. Wyatt lives in Colorado. He's got a farm that he bought over near Abilene, Texas. Wish we were there. Well, we wish you were too. Going to stock his pond on Friday. He's in Texas this week. He's going to get his fish this Friday. Got a fish truck coming from, I don't know which one, Stock My Pond, or one of those guys is going to bring him some fish. So that's cool.
Feed them, but it's getting kind of cold.
Yeah, you know what? They'll eat for another 6 weeks here. They'll feed another 6 weeks. Well, Tim, I'm glad you're here, man. Looking forward to hanging out with you for the next few days, and looking forward to sharing your stories and hearing some, and hanging out with this group of cool people.
Yeah.
So let's have some fun.
If you have bullheads, they're not the hardest fish to kill.
Really?
No, there's harder stuff out there.
Like plecostomus, and armor-plated catfish, and walking catfish?
Shotguns work, but you can't get them all with a shotgun.
I mean, the pellets kind of don't go so far down in the mud?
Oh, they go plenty far enough if you get them.
But if they're armor-plated, it's like trying to kick an armadillo.
These plecostomus, they dig burrows in the bank of your pond.
Oh.
So you walk around the edge of the pond. It's pretty...
I smell hamburgers cooking.
Yeah, that smells good. When you talk about surveying fish,
Yes.
one thing you should mention is go out there at night with a super bright flashlight.
Okay.
And walk around the shallow water and shine it down. If you have a sandy bottom that's light colored, I can see all kinds of fish. The other night I went out there, I saw thousands of bluegill, gambusia, crawdads. I saw all kinds of stuff in the shallow water.
They know better than come out in the daytime.
And when there's a tail sticking out of a burrow in it, you break out the shotgun
And you just shoot it.
yeah, you soak yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
But
okay. So
yeah, when something goes down, something else must come up.
Physics 101 here, right here at LL, 2. Well, Tim, thanks, man. This is going to be a fun few days. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah.
All right, buddy. Hey, I want to circle back on that prawn question. One thing I've noticed, and I can't wait to do it again and try to replicate this in several other ponds, is the two places that we stocked these Macrobrachium rosenbergi, there was no algae at all, none, and the water fertility shifted. So I saw a different kind of bloom in the ponds that have freshwater shrimp compared to those that don't. So I'm looking forward, I didn't think about that occurring. I'm looking forward to investigating that in the next few years because, you know, people that have used these freshwater prawns have stocked them kind of as an alternative food source, hoping that some of them can live long enough to become significant. And guys like Jason Luster, I love Jason, he watches this show sometimes. Jason's a real innovative, creative fisheries guy, and he totally believes in using these shrimp to stock into ponds that are vegetated, because they get in there and eat vegetation and then grow up to be big enough that they're a pretty good morsel
I need to bring some
for
home.
fish. Yeah, well,
Because I'm fertilizing my pond, and I think it's all going to the plants, and especially to all the biota that live on the stems of the plants.
well, I've got some that are still alive. Now, they're cannibalistic, so if you take 15 home, you'll get home with 12.
Okay.
You know, but we'll put some in a bag and oxygenate them, and you better check and make sure. I can't imagine it not being legal in Florida to have these dead young
I have
things.
2 ponds, so I'll put them in the little pond.
Okay, but
Because
check.
I'm messing with this big
You know,
pond.
a state,
We'll
a
look
state,
it up.
a state that has plecostomus and peacock bass and armored plated catfish and walking catfish, I can't imagine they'd be anti-prawn. So, but I kind of got to say that just to stay in the good graces of the law. You know, so we'll try that. You can take a few home. I got some caught up I want to show everybody in the next few days. All right, man. Thanks a lot, brother. We'll be hanging out with you. Fist bump. We are 6 feet apart. You just can't tell it.
Yeah. You can
All
fit
right.
6 ant feet between us.
There you go. That's right. That's right. So I do want to take a minute and let everybody know. Remember this: Pond Boss Magazine, $25 a year. Actually, it's $35 a year. $35 a year. Cheaper than a Friday night date and lasts a year. Cheaper than a Friday night. Just think about it. Debbie took me out to eat the other day, and it cost her about $50. I could have had 1.5 subscriptions to Pond Boss for a year.
Yeah.
You know, and it's full of all kinds of nuggets and information and good stuff. So I want to encourage you to subscribe to Pond Boss Magazine. You go to pondboss.com.
And share this video so you can win one of these hats.
That's right. And one of these mugs that does what?
It keeps hot things hot and cold things cold, and we don't know how it does, but it does.
There you go.
That's great.
I have no life.
And the one you have is pretty fun. Come here, Drew. We're going to get Drew Hay up here and share some time with Drew. Drew Hay works for Phil Hay and Sons. So I guess it's the Sons. So how many sons are there? Come here, Phil. Yeah. Get up here, buddy. Look at there. Look at that. He got on LSU colors.
Well,
Not really.
my construction garb.
Yeah, that way you can be seen when you need to be seen when you're out doing
Right.
what you do.
Right.
Tell folks about you and Phil Hay and Sons and where you guys are from.
Oh, well, I mean, we're from 45 minutes north of Pittsburgh, which a lot of people notice that. I see there's a lot of people on here that are even watching and stuff. I see Mike Gray's watching, which met him yesterday face to face. Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
I look forward to talking to him a lot more, man. We got a lot in common. But yeah, I mean, we started out years ago. Dad started building the ponds and everything, and he started doing a lot of residential work with different contractors. I think he had, I don't know how many contractors at one time he was working for, but the thing was, is whenever he got a pond, I liked doing that better because I got to run equipment instead of a shovel. So.
You weren't a stick picker.
Right,
You weren't picking up
exactly.
sticks behind the bulldozer and hoping you to get run over.
Right, you got it. So
There you go.
It just, I just grew a love for the pond building. That's pretty much all we do now, and we travel around quite a bit. We got back from St. Louis, and we're working with a fella, actually through Matt Rill. I seen he's watching through his website. A fella from North Carolina that we've been talking to too. So it's doing pretty good. We're
Very,
busy.
very cool. And now, when you're a pond builder in Pennsylvania, what are some of the obstacles that you have to fight?
This show's only an hour long, Bob.
Listen. So are you saying the regulation is a little tough? You kind of fidgeted in your seat right there when I asked you that
Yeah,
question.
it is. It's very tough. And the thing is I mean, back in 1889, we had the biggest domesticated loss of life in the country was the Johnstown flood that killed like 2,209 people, I believe it was.
Wow.
And so we take dam building pretty serious up there, and we have a lot of hurdles that we have to jump through. Some of them are standard throughout the country, but our permits are pretty stringent. And they've added to them now since the gas boom that we've had up here with the Marcellus well drilling.
That's got to be kind of a political hot potato, the fracking and
Yeah, it
the oil
has.
business in
Yes,
Pennsylvania.
it has. Yes, it has. Our side of the state seems to definitely stand on the more red side of things, we'll say.
Well, we'll leave that there.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause that could turn into a whole other hot topic too. So,
Harrison Davis is telling you hello.
hello, Harrison. I seen a couple of my guys there checking in too. The kids at home, Maddie and Ivan.
Yeah.
Dad's
Okay.
watching.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, there's Paul Edwards.
Paul
There.
Edwards saying hello to you. Chris Horsley, he says Baylor colors.
Yeah.
Somebody else says Oregon Ducks. I think they're both right. It's not LSU.
Yeah, but
I was just looking at that gold. You can't say yellow anymore.
well, we're from Steel Town, so I got to look around and make sure I ain't going to get shot. Go Steelers. Yeah.
That's good. Paul Edwards checking in.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when you, Doug Brown's got a question. Doug, we'll get back to that here in a minute. So to kind of take me just on the process of your business. If somebody wants to build a pond in Pennsylvania or wherever you go,
Yep.
how do they find you first?
A big part of it is word of mouth or through social media or our webpage. You know,
Okay.
I mean, I know up in our area, if you Google, I don't know if Tim Wood's watching. He's a great guy. We're all members of the SMLP, and if you Google ponds up there, him or I are going to pop up one or two. Depends on the day. And him and I do a lot of work back and forth. He does the smaller end, and so a lot of the artwork and waterfalls, where we do the bigger scale. So him and I do a lot of work back and forth.
So you're working heavy equipment, you're working like farm ponds, but what you're kind of drilling into more now is recreational fishing ponds as much as anything.
Well, Dad, what he did back in the day, I mean, Dad's been building ponds for...
Wait a minute, how old is your dad?
Dad is the same age as you, I believe. He's 67, I believe. He's
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Back whenever he had to yabba dabba do.
So he paddled your dozer with his feet.
Right,
Okay.
right,
So
right.
all right. So back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, he started it, and he built what I call a good old-fashioned farm pond. And the thing was Mom had the landscaping ability, and I was just blessed to inherit both of it. And so we've taken the farm ponds, which we still do. And but now we're adding a lot more of an art flair to them. You know, we'll do a lot of rock structures with them. We've got into the biology and the fish, as you're well aware of, and doing habitats and everything. And we're doing giant scale waterfalls and incorporating them in also.
So what I'm hearing you say is I've noticed over my career that, 50 years ago, if somebody wanted a pond, they went to the coffee shop at 5 a.m. and found Phil Hay.
Yes.
And you better get there by 5:20 or 5:30, because if you didn't, he'd already had 3 cups and he's headed out to get the machinery ready to go. Mm-hmm. So you'll get him serviced, get fluids and all that checked, and because he's going to be moving dirt at daylight.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and when you'd find him at the coffee shop and you told him you wanted a pond, he'd reach in his bib overalls pocket, pull out a little notebook, spiral notebook, write your name and phone number down, and then about 3 or 4 weeks later he'd call you and he'd be coming. Here comes a 18-wheeler with a big shiny yellow piece of machinery with a shiny blade on the front, and he'd go back and forth and dig out a hole, and you'd have a pond. And it's not like that now. Like what I'm hearing Drew say is that people build ponds for different purposes. I mean, heck,
Yes.
right,
Absolutely.
right behind me, when Debbie and I built this pond, heck, I'm a fish guy. This pond behind us, we call it the swimming pond. She's not listening. Well, when we started building it, man, I had all kinds of ideas about where to put structure and cover, being the fish guy. And I was telling her I was all excited, and she said, no, this is going to be a swimming pond. I said, whoa, wait, I'm a fish guy. She says, maybe you didn't understand what I said. So behind us, about 2/3 of that pond is bare butt naked. You know, it's kind of bowl shaped, but the upper end ended up with some trees and stumps and stuff, and there's fish in it. Don't know where those came from.
Right.
But you know what? We've got a swimming pond. We got a catfish pond. We have 2 hatchery ponds. We've got an experimental pond that I just play with, you know, trying different kinds of fish and different kinds of structure and habitat and see what works. You know, the catfish pond, it's designed to grow meat and for kids to catch their first fish. That's what it's for. The swimming pond, Debbie loves to put on a something, a floaty thumping around her waist, and then have a glass of wine floating in the pond when it's 110 degrees outside. And I do too. So I had to build some steps so we could climb out. We got a zip line the grandkids love, and Debbie was the first one to go off of it. Hi, honey. I kind of paused. I said, you were the first one to go off the zip line, and then I paused because I didn't want to say the rest of the story. But she was the first one to go off the zip line.
That looks like a nod in disgust, Bob.
You know, so in today's world, ponds are built for different purposes.
Absolutely.
So in Pennsylvania, what are those purposes?
A lot of it, fishing, recreation, backyard oasis. I mean, it's the same pretty much typically. I've seen all through, you know, we just, like I said, we just got back from St. Louis, and it's pretty much the same thing that I'm seeing. Some of it's, you know, it could be as simple as just watering the livestock or whatever. But the biggest part of what we're doing now is, and actually whenever I spoke about SMLP, was a work of art. You know, and being able to do it, and you know, and people were really wanting to take and enjoy it, and it's like you had mentioned on one of your shows, and you've done it more than once. People are attracted to water.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's the thing, and they love it, and that's what we try to do, and that's the part that I love about the whole pond industry, and that's even with all the folks that are here tonight, you know, and with all the other organizations we're a member of, the pond community as a whole is just, generally speaking, the nicest people in the world. You know, we're all willing to help each other. You know, from yourself down to all of us and everything, and like Matt Rayo and Troy Goldsby and Tim Wood. I mean, all of them guys. Yep. You know, everybody's only a phone call away. It's like the Henry Ford approach, which I love. You don't have to know the answer; just need to know where to find it.
That's it. And you know what? There's way more answers now.
Yes.
You know, there's
yes,
a lot more things. And here's your take-home point. You know, figure out why you want that pond before you build it. You know, and then find the right person to build that pond that you want.
That's a good one there.
Set some goals. Because when you call and talk to Drew Hay or Craig Johnson, who we're going to talk to here in just a minute, they're going to ask you that. Why are you building this pond? I mean, when I go sit down with somebody, a landowner, for the first time, the very first thing I ask them is, why'd you buy this place? And most of the time, nobody's asked them that. You know, and sometimes they'll pause and say, well, we want a place we can hunt and fish. Okay, well, is your wife going to come? I don't know. Well, if she don't, you won't. You know, so let's have that talk. You know, and then when you say you want a pond, why do you want it? What's the mission? What's the purpose? Is it just because you want a healthy environment that you can just, you know, drink a beer, cook out next to, and see beautiful wildlife flock to? Or do you want to grow the biggest fish on the planet? You know, do you want a swimming pond? What do you want? So I think it's a big deal to really go through that. Let's see what Doug Brown says. You got something else?
The only thing that I would like to touch on, you hit one on there right on the head, was you know, make sure that you do your due diligence and taking a page out of your book, don't pay the dump tax. Make sure that you've checked your whoever you select, make sure that they've got some clout behind them as far as building a pond. You don't want to get a guy that's just like, well, I think I can do it. You know, you want to have somebody that's got some clout and some experience behind them. You know, and like I said, I mean, you've got Mike Gray down there. You got Mike Otto. I mean, you've got guys.
There's some stellar people.
Yes, there is.
Yep.
And make sure that you do some research and check them out. And if they can, one of the things that I always tell my customers, and one of my selling points is ask your other guy that you're looking at to show you 100+ ponds.
There you go. There you go. That's great advice.
Yeah.
How do they find you?
Well, like I said, you can check us out on www.philhandsons.com. You can see us on Facebook, or I'll take and put a link up there too, and
add a link.
So, but I want to
add a link.
I got to thank all of our guys too. I mean, we've got 20-some employees. I couldn't do it with all them. Brad, Bill, Nick, my cousin Nick's down here with me, Nicole in the office, and we just got a stellar group of guys that add to it too. So.
Sweet, very good. Well, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks
excited.
for having us. Yeah, so am I.
Thanks for being had.
Yeah.
Come here, Greg. We're gonna talk about Montana ponds. While we're doing that, I'm gonna take Doug Brown's question: forage fish stocking before stocking F1 tiger bass and Florida strain trophy bass from American Sport Fishing mid to late October. May 19 October 2019 stocked 1,200 copper nose, 20 pounds of fathead minnows, 100 pounds of crawfish. Let's see here. We got the history going on. 50 speckled perch. I think you're in that. Yeah, you are. You should be. Actually, when you call and place that order, Doug, tell them what you've already done to remind them. I'm not telling you they don't know, but I would say, hey, here's what I've done, and then tell them what you're seeing. You know, are you feeding the fish? If you are, tell them what you're seeing. If you're not, tell them that. You know, and I'd go fishing, catch a few, so you need to know how big your sunfish are. That may have an impact on the size of bass that they tell you to stock, and it might have an impact on the numbers. So give them a call and talk to them about that. Let's see. Travis wants to know, what are our plans if we sell LL2? Let me change that. Yes, we put our place up for sale. Debbie and I got to talking about it. I want to introduce Greg. Greg Johnson.
Hey, Bob.
He's from Bozeman, Montana. And they've had an influx of people there, and we're convinced it's because of the TV show Yellowstone. Is that a fair statement?
I would say over half the people that we're working for said they moved there because of Yellowstone.
What? Montana's on the map because of Kevin Costner, and no, really because of who? Beth. Yeah.
Oh, Beth. Oh,
hey,
yeah, Beth.
Who doesn't love Beth, you know?
I know.
She's mean and crafty and hot. Okay, well, there's so much about that. So, there's Troy Lopez checking in. Troy used to work with Purina Mills. Now he's in the finance business. If you guys need to buy some property, talk to Troy. Friend Troy Lopez right here. Look at there. Nick just put up the Phil Hay and Sons Excavation Company website. I want to answer Travis's question real quick. Travis, Debbie and I talked it over about a month ago, and you know we said it's time. We got this big place. Part of the reason we bought it was to share it, like what we're doing right now, and it's a lot to manage and a lot to take care of, and we've got some things we'd like to do. We're all healthy and all that's good, but we're also at the peak of the market, we think. And there's folks that are moving out of the city, vacating the city because they don't want to deal with the strife, the social strife, you know, the political strife. Restaurants are closed, you know, and there's a lot of people moving to the country, so we thought it would be a good time to try to market it. To answer your question, I got an idea that I'll share. We're sniffing around Granbury, Texas a little bit because I've got a backstory there, and when it's time, I'll share that story. But when we sell, we're going to look there first and see what we can find. So there we go. So Travis is asking you how you're coping with the fires in Montana. Does that affect you?
We didn't really have any. Well, we actually had a really big fire close to Bozeman. It burned half of Bridger Canyon. It's going to be really good for the pond business.
Okay, well, you need to tell us about that. So, you know what? Before we get into that, tell us about you and what your business is and what you do with Montana Ponds. You got Terry with you.
Yeah.
She handles the maintenance side. You handle the construction. But let's dig a little deeper into that.
So 21 years, 1999, I started Montana Ponds, and it kind of has been slow. We've had a few times where there was no ponds being built at all, and now it's busy. And Montana is a really good place to be in the pond business.
Why? Why is that? People don't know that, really.
Well, a lot of people are moving there because of Yellowstone and because there's not many people there and there's not much coronavirus. And
That makes sense.
the other thing is we've had some big fires there, and people are using their fire ponds like crazy to pump water.
Oh, okay.
So they're putting in big irrigation pumps in their ponds to spray their whole house.
Oh, so they're building ponds for fire protection.
Yeah. And a lot of people won't even insure you unless you have a fire pond.
Really? Well, let's talk about that. So you build fire ponds,
Well, not really.
but you build a pond that can be a fire pond. Well, so
Yeah, we built fire ponds with trout in them, and a beach, a boat dock, and trout, and then they can hook a fire pump up to it. Or we put a pipe coming out that they can hook fire
like a dry
truck.
hydrant.
Yeah.
And then, so I mean, if they're okay to move to Montana, they can probably buy a fire truck.
Well, it's got to be there. It's got to be full of gases. You know, the
Yeah,
pump's
ready to
got
go.
to be working.
Okay, so I hadn't even thought about that angle. What a great angle. So when you guys are designing a pond, then you're looking at everything from how can somebody swim in it in the summer, how they can grow some really big trout, keep them alive, and I think that's probably Terry's job on how to keep them alive, because she's on the maintenance side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then so the beaches, and so really you're kind of looking at designing habitat for fish to live in, and how to minimize aquatic plant growth.
And
How to keep the water
people in
clear.
Montana want to be able to see 10 feet in their ponds.
And so-
they don't want any green in their ponds.
Clear water.
Clear water.
Okay, so one of your obstacles to overcome is how do we take a pond as it ages and to help keep the water clarity up and be able to pump 6,000 gallons a minute on the house if a forest fire comes
Yeah. With clear water.
with clear water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you need a lot of aeration.
Okay.
And John's been helping us out a lot there with aeration.
John Red, you're a big fan of John Red and Outdoor Water. You guys are dealers for the Outdoor Water Solutions Company, right?
we sell a lot of his aerators,
Okay.
and we put a lot of beneficial bacteria in there, and they stay clear that way.
So a lot of what you do on the maintenance side is pretty holistic, mostly organic stuff. If you're using enzymes and microbes and things like that, do you sometimes you have to use herbicides?
We try not to, but cattails are our enemy there.
Cattails are probably the biggest problem you've got, I bet.
Yeah, they just blow in from wherever.
Yeah.
And they always show up.
Yeah. So you got to figure out how to keep those at bay.
Yeah.
Because cattail's job is to grow and keep the soil from migrating into the pond. But if that soil is migrating and the cattails start growing and nobody wants the cattails, you kind of got a little conundrum there.
Yeah, they kind of take over the pond. They're
Yeah.
trying to take over the pond.
Doesn't take that long. I've got hatchery ponds up at my office.
Yeah.
I've had water in them for 3 years. If I don't kill the cattails this year, they're going to be twice as bad next year.
Yeah.
And that's in a stinking little half-acre hatchery pond.
Yeah,
up
if you
there.
can keep them at bay, just keep working a little bit every year. They never get out of hand. But if you let them go for 5 years, it's a big job.
So why are you here?
Oh,
Because Terry told you to come?
a little bit, yeah.
Whoa! That came out of left field, didn't it?
No, but the thing is, I suggested it to her. You know,
Okay, oh,
I
okay.
and
Here we go.
when they say yes, you go.
Okay.
Because I wanted to go, but I just
Yeah.
suggested, and she said, "Yeah, let's
Well,
do
so
it."
you figured out how to make it her idea.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay. So what do you, so you've already got to spend a little time with Drew. You'll spend some time with Otto tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you'll hear some different takes on pond construction. But at the end of this Institute of Higher Pondology, I love that name. I couldn't think of a better one, so we stuck with that one. What are you looking to take home with you
we always
besides
have.
your wife?
Well, I told her Montana men are better than Texan men because
Okay.
you've heard that song by the chick. And she goes, I know, but
What
anyway.
song is it? They don't play that here.
The Dixie Chicks changed their name to the Chicks.
Oh, okay, yeah, the Chixies.
But there's
whatever
their main song is Texas Man. I
Oh,
want a
okay.
Texas Man.
I don't guess I've listened to that.
I said, just don't get. But anyway, I just want to have somebody I can call because we always have tons of questions and we don't know where to ask.
So you're
the
kind of
questions.
looking to expand your network of people as
Yeah.
well as collect a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
And I know Terry's looking forward to learning more about water chemistry and how the biology of the water alters the chemistry and back and forth sideways, and to learn a little bit more about that medium and then how to manage what's in it, from the plants to the fish to the whatever
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
That's it. And you don't really, I mean, that's,
We're going to be smart when we leave this place.
you're going to be smart.
Yeah. And
Well,
Pond Boss is kind of a strange magazine for somebody in Montana to be reading. But I've been reading it for years. You don't put much on Montana in there, but we're going to try to get you to do some Montana.
You know what?
articles.
We got a brand new writer, folks, right here. All he's got to do is dictate it into his phone, pass it off to Terry. Let her take out all the uhs and yas and does and send it in to me, and we're going to have a story. Take pictures, though. Hey, and
Okay.
take horizontal pictures,
We
too.
can do that. We'll do that.
All right, that's great. Okay, so how do people find you?
MontanaPonds.com.
Who knew that? Right. Well, that's great. Well, I'm so glad y'all are here.
Okay.
We're going to have a big time. So it's been almost an hour. That flew by. So we're going to wrap it up. Folks, remember, pondboss.com. Thanks to Purina Mills, Texas Hunter Products for sponsoring this show. And thanks to everybody for coming to the Institute of Higher Pondology. And we're going to sign off. I'm not sure where I'll be next Wednesday, but I know this. We're going to do this show. There we go. Thanks for tuning in. Woo-hoo. Adios.